So, Mr. Carino, congratulations on being selected by your peers as New Jersey Sportswriter of the Year.
Thank you.
Um, of course, to start, can you walk us through what motivated you into getting into this career and how did you first start?
Sure. I was a high school athlete, cross country and track and field, and there was a local reporter who covered the sport, and I always thought it was interesting what he did, and I told him one day I want to do what you're doing, and he said, "Well, call me when you get out of college." So I did several years later, and he actually got me a job, my first job.
Oh, wow. What was your
Yeah.
first job?
Just covering high school sports for that same paper that covered me when I was in high school.
Okay, okay. So, can you take us through your first job with covering in the sports in high school to now?
Sure. So I covered high school sports for 7 years, 6 or 7 years. And then around 2003, I started covering college basketball, which has become my main beat over the last 22 years. I cover New Jersey college basketball, and that's been my primary calling card. But I also still cover high school sports. I do human interest features, sports columns. I help out with college football. Basically everything short of, I don't really do pro sports, although I am doing something as we speak on the U.S. Open. We have a couple local golfers from the shore area. So yeah, I cover sports at the in in New Jersey college and high school, and I do some human interest stuff too.
And what were some key skills that you gained from this job transition from, your newspaper then to now?
So yeah, I basically you once you learn how to, I feel like covering sports can teach you how to do almost anything. It teaches you how to cover a live event. Like I've covered political events, covered breaking news. You learn how to work fast. You you learn how to interview people on any subject. I can write a human interest story on anything. Actually, I won New Jersey News Columnist of the Year this year. For my news
Congratulations.
columns, nothing to do with sports, just for my news columns. But those skills will learn covering sports for sure.
Can you tell me a little bit more about your human interest columns?
Sure. So yes, I write a weekly human interest column on various subjects, interesting people, issues, um, history at the Jersey Shore. A lot of these people have overcome huge life hurdles. There was some crossover with sports this year. We had one of the columns I won an award for was there was a high school football coach who he's in his 40s and he's a father of four young kids and he suddenly was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. He thought it was a sinus infection and insurance company wouldn't treat him. They refused to pay for his coverage. Even though he was insured, they refused to pay for some of the critical care that he needed. So I wrote something about that and got a lot of attention, helped him raise a lot of money. That's the kind of human interest stories that I do. This
How
year
did
we
you,
had the past couple of months we had two families who they needed accessible cars for people in wheelchairs. For one reason or other, they didn't have them, so we helped crowdsource those families to get cars. To raise them tens of thousands of dollars so they can get accessible vans. And then we did a follow-up when they got their vans.
how did you get interested in these human interest stories?
Well, it was suggested to me about 10 years ago by an editor that I should, that stuff I do in sports might translate well in the human interest field. So that's how I started. Now it's perpetuates itself. I mean, most of the stuff I get are ideas that are tips that are delivered to me by readers, which is great.
So, what advice would you give to anyone not only looking to get into sports writing, but just into writing in general? What advice would you give for people looking to break into that industry?
I think the biggest thing is you have to listen. Uh, writing is sort of the end product, but you have to have something to write. And the important part of getting good material to write is being able to listen to what people have to say, listen to conversations. I mean, I was having a conversation with a guy last week he's a javelin thrower at Rutgers, and he made the NCAA championship for the first time. And he said, I was injured last year. Um, he just mentioned it casually, like in passing. So then I asked him about his injury. Oh, what? I didn't know that. I said, what happened last year? And he told me that he tore his UCL, his elbow injury. He basically invented. So what turns out is he invented a brace to avoid having surgery to help him throw with his elbow injury. and he now has a patent for the brace. So it's an amazing story, and the moral of the story is just to listen. Because I was listening to the guy, I had no idea about his injury or his brace, but I was listening to him, and I was curious, and I asked follow-up questions. I think listening is a huge skill that can help my students. Is I'm an adjunct professor on the side. I teach a journalism class once a week. I tell my students that listening can help you in life. It can help you as a parent, as a spouse, as a significant other, and it can really help you as a journalist.
You said you teach once a week a journalism class. Can you tell me about your experience with that?
Sure, I teach at Kane University. It's a local college here in New Jersey. I teach an introduction to journalism course, and I sometimes teach some other courses too. And been doing it for a number of years as part time. I love it. You know, a lot of my students are first generation college students. Two of them actually texted me this morning about things they're up to. One of them is a news anchor. These are students I've had in the last couple of years. One of them is a news anchor upstate New York. He was covering the Boxing Hall of Fame weekend up there. And another one, he just sent me his coverage. I'm looking at it right now. Another one covered a big high school all-star game and just sent me his photographs. So yeah, it's great. I love being able to mentor young people. Several of my students have gone on to work in journalism, which is fantastic. They've gone into the industry, and my only request is that they come back and be a guest speaker for my class, which many of them do.
That's amazing. So listening, knowing how to really be interactive, is there any other advice that you'd give for people that are looking to get into that industry?
I think just be willing to try anything. You know, I covered everything and anything for a number of years, whether it was like high school tennis or, um, a Special Olympics, whatever it was, like anything anyone suggested, I was game for. I still do all kinds of stuff across the spectrum, different sports. Like you don't say no, say yes to assignments because you never know, like what'll help you improve or open a door. A lot of the stories I write now, the great human interest tips I get are from pieces I did years ago on people who remembered me and what I did. I might not remember them sometimes. There's so many of them, but they remember me and they'll get back to me with another even better idea. And so say yes, I think is a big thing. Be willing to do anything, especially at the start of your career. But even so, like, I'm 30 years on now and I still am open to almost anything anyone suggests.
All right, Mr. Carino, those were all of my questions. Thank you for giving me a moment of your time and
Sure.
letting me learn about your career and your insights. And
Sure.
congratulations again on your win. It was definitely deserved.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Were you going to be writing something?
I'm not actually really too sure. I just know that we wanted to learn more about our winners because you guys definitely deserve to be heard and everyone wants to know your story.
Okay, so are these clips going to be played at the banquet or what is the plan?
I believe that they are going to be published to their YouTube,
Okay,
but I'm
good.
not 100% sure right now. Yeah.
Super. All right, thanks a lot. I appreciate you checking in.
Of course. Thank you so much
All
again.
right, you're welcome. Bye.
Have a good one.